I'm coming at the haters, they're making me more famous, cause my videos got more force than Darth Vader. Go! Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Turkish Delight with the Battlefront Bazaar, and today I'm bringing you something a little different. Normally this channel covers Battlefront 2 news, but Soylo, a Soy War story, is still a pretty hot topic on YouTube, and I came across this article which I found pretty interesting regarding the movie. Plus, I like getting clicks and views on my videos personally, so I figure why not share it with all of you wonderful viewers, and you guys could return the favor with a sub. Okay? Okay. The article is by comingsoon.net, and I will leave it linked below in the description if you'd like to check it out for yourself. But it shows some pretty neat scrapped concept images from early ideas for Solo, as well as a brief description for each one. The concept art itself comes from the book The Art of Solo, a Star Wars story, which unfortunately I do not have access to, and I couldn't find these images elsewhere online, so screenshots from the online article will have to do. But with that, I present to you 12 scrapped ideas from Solo, a Star Wars story. Just a quick note, despite my jab at the movie title a moment ago, I actually did enjoy the film for the most part. I thought it was a pretty fun and nice addition to the lore. I'm just not a fan of Lucasfilm's direction they've taken the franchise as a whole, but I digress as that's a topic for maybe another video. For now, let's take a look at the first scrapped concept idea from Solo. Younger Han Solo. Although he's a teenager at the beginning of Solo, Han was originally envisioned as a much younger Dickensian-style street rat during both Lawrence Kasdan's early writing process as well as a scrapped cameo in 2005's Revenge of the Sith. First drafts also sketched Han's early career as a Top Gun-style resistance pilot in a faction of different aliens fighting against the Empire. So even though we didn't get a Han Solo this young in the final cut of the movie, you can tell the Charles Dickens-inspired backstory stuck around. Han and Kira's relationship with the White Worm Gang was right out of Oliver Twist. I'm assuming in this concept art here that's Han in the middle as that Top Gun-style pilot. I did find the scrapped Revenge of the Sith cameo interesting. That could have been really cool to see. I think Lucasfilm has a hard-on for enslaved little children though, like in this f***ing movie. But moving on, and speaking of Kira, the next scrapped idea was Han's alien girlfriend. Kira, as played by Emilia Clarke, was almost a humanoid alien instead of a human, but they couldn't figure out a design that was pleasing. Just have him banging a Twi'lek, dude. Easy. Here, practical creature designer Neil Scanlon says, every time we touched upon the human form, it fell into some sort of fashion niche or Trek-like genres, like steampunk. It's a very tough gray area. One needs to go all the way or not at all, which is something I can completely respect. Although, seeing Han in a relationship with an alien humanoid on screen would have been pretty interesting, as besides for Hera and Kanan from Rebels, I can't really think of another major human-alien couple in another piece of canon, let alone in the movies. We see Boba flirting with some babes in Jabba's palace in Episode 6, but that's about it. Next up, we have Wookiee Stormtroopers. There was an earlier draft of the script in which Chewbacca and other Wookiees are enslaved to fight for the Empire, and are seen wearing Stormtrooper masks. This would have saved costs for the production having to build too many practical Wookiee faces. Personally, I'm glad this was cut, as I don't think it makes too much sense. The Empire used Wookiees and their strength for slave labor more than anything. Giving them weapons and armor seems a little counterintuitive to the Empire's overall goals. Still an interesting concept, though. Next on the list is Corellia Prison. Originally, the teenage Han met Chewie in a prison much earlier in his life after an attempted escape on Corellia, with that prison design inspired by an old Ralph McQuarrie painting from The Empire Strikes Back. In this art here, I believe the bottom picture is the McQuarrie painting and the top image is the concept art. Would have been interesting to see, but I kind of liked how Han and Chewie met in the version we got in the film. There was still an escape from Empire custody involved, so it wasn't too different in terms of the overall story. After that, we have Imperial Mech Walkers. Rather than the traditional chicken walker ATSTs seen during the battle on the swamp world of Mimban, Han and Chewie were originally going to face off against giant Imperial mechs that somewhat resemble the evil robot villain in RoboCop 2, but this idea must have been deemed too derivative of anime. I mean, I'm all for our hero facing off against giant mechs, as long as it isn't wasted potential. Like this f***ing movie. How It Should Have Ended's version is legit how it should have ended. But there was a note saying that this is a still from the film, not the referred to art on page 26 of the book, but here's Kane from RoboCop 2 for reference. Meh. Barroom Brawl is next. Han and Chewie originally fought side by side on Mimban for the Empire, and eventually get into a brawl inside a bar, with Han fighting dirty to compensate for the height Chewie had on him. There was also a reverse on the life debt, with Chewie actually saving Han's life. Personally, I am very pleased this did not make the final cut, because Chewie, historically, is the first mate to Han's position as captain, plus most people are more familiar with the old legend story of Han saving Chewie anyway. I think a lot of people would have had a problem with it, and I could see it working only if it's revealed later that Han and Chewie agree to tell others it's the other way around, so Han keeps his reputation or something. But that just seems like a useless plot thread anyway. After that is 2 aliens are better than 1. Originally, there were going to be 2 aliens in Beckett's crew, with a 4-eyed humanoid alien called Rio Durant and a squid monkey named Zapf, originally pegged to be co-pilots until those 2 characters were consolidated into the Rio in the film, voiced by Jon Favreau. I loved Rio. I thought he was one of the best characters in the film, and I was really bummed he got killed off so quickly. So it's interesting to know that he's actually a product of 2 characters. Favreau is a genius and really brought Rio to life, and I'm especially excited for Jon's upcoming Star Wars series set about 7 years after Return of the Jedi. There's a quote here which I assume is from the book that says, "Rio was an ace pilot with the natural advantage of seeing more than the average aviator," probably due to his multiple pairs of eyes. Vandor Space Horse is next. During the train heist on Vandor, Han and company were originally going to ride a buffalo-esque space horse, giving the film much more of that iconic Western feel. Here's the thing. If it was done right and actually felt like Lone Ranger, and not this, then I could side with that. Han is basically a space cowboy for all intents and purposes, and I honestly wish we did get more of that Western vibe from this film. It was there in places, but I think it could have been better overall. I'm undecided whether these space horses would have made that difference though. Still an interesting concept. Dryden Vas the Alien. The character of Dryden Vas was originally a CGI alien being played by Michael K. Williams, who shot a good deal of footage with original directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller, but was unable to return for the Ron Howard reshoots due to schedule conflicts. The planned design for him was a Lasat creature like Zeb from Star Wars Rebels, and there was more of a love triangle between Han, Kira, and Dryden. The production ultimately opted to simply make him a human played by Howard regular Paul Bettany. Now that's interesting because I actually saw somewhere, can't remember where now, that Dryden isn't human, or at least fully human. That's why he has those red markings on his face. They're not scars, they're more like indicators of when he's feeling strong emotions. But either way, seeing a Lasat on the big screen would have been dope, and would have opened the door for maybe a Zeb cameo later on in future movies. I like Paul Bettany's Voss a lot though. I wish we got more of him because he was a very fascinating villain character, with his compassionate and caring attitude toward everybody one second that could turn into him violently killing them the next. Lucasfilm, stop killing off interesting villains right away. You're pulling a Marvel with this one. After Dryden though, we have elephant-sized mole creature. Early drafts of the script had an elephant-sized naked mole creature named a Wapota with a giant drill on his face for mining. The thing goes crazy and runs amok during the riot on Kessel, leading to the slowest foot chase ever, with Han and Chewie trying to get the coaxium out of the tunnels. Damn man, slowest foot chase ever, slowest space chase ever. What's next? Slowest speeder chase ever? Oh, actually that was a pretty fun scene. But personally, I think a giant Rufus with a drill on his face would have been a hell of a lot more fun than L337's Droid Rebellion, in my humble opinion. By the way, if you don't get the Kim Possible reference, you're probably too young. Second to last, we have Tanab. Remember that Battle of Tanab that Lando mentions he pulled a maneuver at in Return of the Jedi? That planet was originally going to be a lush tropical planet inspired by Southeast Asia, where both Dryden Voss and Enfys Nest made their home and battled over territory. This was changed when Dryden's giant luxury ship became his home base instead. Sounds like more of just a fun little piece of additional lore, but having it cut doesn't hurt anything, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the new canon Solo books go over Lando's little maneuver. I'll have to revisit some Star Wars Explained videos on that. But it is noted that this picture is from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, not the referred to picture on page 139 of the concept art book. And finally, we have an alternate opening to the film. One of the artists pitched an opening sequence in which a Star Destroyer comes into view over Corellia, echoing the opening shot of A New Hope, only for us to realize it's in segments and still under construction. A similar idea was hashed out for the opening of Force Awakens, with a small cruiser pulling a scrapped and abandoned Star Destroyer over Jakku. We got a few glimpses of the incomplete Star Destroyers over Corellia in the trailers to the movie, and if it was shot right, I think this sequence could have looked great. Not a bad idea by any means, and could have made a bigger impact with old school fans than the opening we got. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen. 12 scrapped ideas from everyone's favorite Soy Wars story. Which one was your favorite? Any of them you wish you had seen in the movie? Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. I'm always curious about what aspects of Star Wars appeals to different fans. Ever since the fandom split after The Last Jedi, I've seen an overall drop in excitement and energy regarding these movies. It's mostly negative feelings toward the newer movies, which, don't get me wrong, I eat that shit up like Thanksgiving dinner. I'm a huge fan of Uncle Ethan, Geeks and Gamers, John Talk Star Wars, all those content creators. But I do kind of miss the days before Episode 8, where I was excited to log into YouTube and check out the latest theory video on the upcoming movie. There are hardly any theory videos being made now, and I've almost considered picking the trend back up, but I'm just not sure interest is even there anymore. I have a few ideas for Episode 9, so if that's something you would be interested in seeing, let me know below. Again, my channel is mainly about a Star Wars video game, but anything Star Wars is good to talk about in my book. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when I drop new videos. I appreciate you all stopping by the bazaar. This has been Turkish Delight, and may the Force always be with you. Peace.